Andre Onana is having a tough season at Manchester United. After that spat with Nemanja Matic, the player went on to be at fault for both of Lyon's goals in Man United's Europa League 2-2 draw and was subsequently dropped by manager Ruben Amorim for their Premier League defeat to Newcastle.
It's not great to watch, I have to say that. It's not great. You never feel safe.
Onana's just a waste of space. Get rid of him.
I just think it is a really, really hard position to play. Goalkeeper for Manchester United, Onana, it's been quite clear this season. He's made quite a few big mistakes.
He has to go. It's akin to the Karius mistake in the Champions League final.
This is someone who's been making big mistakes in big games, particularly in Europe, throughout his Manchester United career. And the truth of the matter is, I think he seems like a great guy, a good character. Ultimately, he's not good enough to be Manchester United number one.
Are the walls closing in on Onana? With growing reports that the Red Devils are desperate for a new goalkeeper, here are 5 possible options. First up, Aaron Ramsdale. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's just been relegated with Southampton. However, he could be a viable option for Man United. Despite being part of one of the worst teams in Premier League history, the shot stopper has actually made 0 errors leading to goals compared to Onana's 3 in the league. Ramsdale has still managed to overall keep his reputation, has 6 seasons of Premier League experience, is an England international, and let's not forget, was once Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper. Many will remember Mikel Arteta's decision to bench Ramsdale in favour of David Raya, pitting the two against each other in the 2023-24 season, with Raya coming out on top. Ramsdale did seem to struggle at times with the pressure of having quality competition for his place, making a few errors, but learning from a high-pressure situation like that could help when it comes to dealing with the scrutiny and attention that comes with being Manchester United's #1. And with a reported £25 million release clause, he could financially be a good signing for the Red Devils. And Alex Crook explained to myself and the rest of the Inside Devils panel this week why he would be a good signing.
When Arsenal signed him from Sheffield United, I was on breakfast that morning. Laura Woods was in the chair. She was mocking it. Ali McCoy was mocking it. Arsenal fans were setting the switchboard alight because they weren't happy with the signing. Ask them what they think of Aaron Ramsdale now, because that first season he went there, he helped get them back in the Champions League. He showed real character and personality. He's a great shot stopper. He's better than Onana, arguably, with the ball at his feet. And he's just the type of guy that United need in the dressing room.
Man United could have a fight on their hands as reportedly other Premier League clubs and clubs abroad are interested. However, if Ramsdale wants to stay in the crosshairs of Thomas Tuchel and wants to continue in arguably the best league in the world, United would be a good destination. As I mentioned, the pressure would be huge. We've seen many players arrive at Old Trafford and struggle with the media attention, but Ramsdale was an important part of Arsenal's early rebuild and could be part of United's summer overhaul. Next, it's Lucas Chevalier. The Lille keeper has already been linked with the blue side of Manchester as a possible long-term replacement for Ederson, along with Chelsea and other clubs across Europe. But could Man United be an option? The keeper, who is under contract until 2027, would cost more than Ramsdale, as Lille reportedly want a fee of around £40 million. However, that's the price you pay for a keeper who is rumoured to be heir to France #1 Mike Maignan and is second in Ligue 1 stats for clean sheets with 10. It's been a great season so far for the shot stopper, particularly in the Champions League, where his double save against Borussia Dortmund and his display against Real Madrid in the league phase earned him praise. But is he really the answer to Man United's problems? Let's hear more about Chevalier from our European football expert, Andy Brassel.
He's the answer to someone's problems, definitely. He spent a few years coming up, came through the Lille youth team. He was fantastic in the Champions League this season. And without being the loudest voice in the dressing room, he is a strong personality. And I think that really matters, especially if you're going into a high pressure situation where you're going to be subject to a lot of criticism if you make even the slightest mistake. I think the biggest thing here is PSG are probably United's biggest competition if they want to go for Chevalier. That's the issue, really. Despite his amazing performance at Aston Villa away this week, Gigi Donnarumma does not enjoy unanimous approval inside the PSG tent for a number of reasons. And they may be looking somewhere else to a young keeper, and going young and French would be PSG's thing. He's proven himself at not just at Ligue 1 level, but at Champions League level, as I've said. He makes saves that other goalkeepers don't make. And I think really they're looking for someone who's just that little bit more reliable, really. So, which I guess puts them in the same boat as United in that sense. Look, Chevalier is massively ambitious. He has seen Mike Maignan since he left Lille, where he'd come through and did very well there, of course. Go to Milan and get himself in the French national team and become the number one goalkeeper. So he sees himself taking a similar path. He's just got into the French squad and taking on Maignan, because honestly there's no other realistic competition for Maignan. He's a top goalkeeper, but he has had his issues with fitness, and obviously Milan haven't been having a great season either, and he's part of that. So there's an opportunity for Chevalier. I guess the question is, what are his other options, and does he regard United in that sense as a risky move?
Next up is Espanyol's Joan Garcia. Now, if this name rings a bell, it might be because the Spanish goalkeeper has already been linked to Arsenal as a backup to David Raya. Whilst Arsenal are obviously a much better side than Man United at the moment, the opportunity to become the number one goalkeeper at Old Trafford could be intriguing for Garcia. His release clause is reportedly just over £20 million, so would also be on the more affordable end of the scale for United. However, with the keeper making more saves than anyone else in La Liga, helping Spain win the gold medal at the 2024 Olympics, plus not even being 25 years old yet, means more and more attention is on him, with Real Madrid, one of the clubs, reportedly interested. But would he realistically be ready for the Premier League with just one full season playing consistently in La Liga, Andy?
I think it's a risk, definitely, because if you look at it, the situation that United are in at the moment is because they spent way too much on Andre Onana off the back of one, albeit excellent season at Inter, because, of course, he'd come out the back of a drug ban and not being first choice at Ajax before that. So, yeah, that's obviously a mistake that United want to avoid repeating. But I guess it's a little bit different with Joan Garcia, because he's a young goalkeeper. And if you look at United greats of the past, if you look at Van der Sar, if you look at Schmeichel, it's all about presence. And he definitely has that. There's no doubt about it. He looks bigger than he actually is, because I guess if you're an opposing attacker, it's a bit of a cliche, but he just looks massive in the goal. He covers the goal really well. Commands the box. I guess it's that question of experience is one of the questions. The other question is he's used to playing for a side where he makes lots of saves. You know, he looks good, Joan Garcia, because he makes a lot of saves, because he's playing for a team that's struggling to stay up in La Liga, having been in a team that got promoted last season. So I guess the question is where United are going from here. If you believe they can challenge for honours next season, or if you think it's a really slow climb and they're going to need a goalkeeper who is going to be under pressure, who is going to make loads of saves. Because if that's the case, then Joan Garcia could be your guy. On the other hand, if you're looking to actually win stuff, we don't know what he's like if he, say, has to save, 2, 3, 4 shots a game and, just keep his concentration for the rest of the time. We can't know whether he's that type of goalkeeper just yet. So, yeah, big question mark.
Now, let's go to a goalkeeper that has been linked to United for a few seasons now, Joan Suzuki. The club reportedly were interested in 2023 before he moved on loan to Belgian side Sint-Truiden from Urawa Red Diamonds. United then sent scouts to watch the Japanese shot stopper last season, but missed out on the chance to sign him as he ended up heading to Parma for just £6.5 million. So far, the youngster is yet to make a single error leading to a goal in Serie A, and is now valued at £40 million, which is the price you pay Man United when you dither over a player. But would Suzuki, who turns 23 in August, actually be worth the price tag, Andy?
I think it's a lot to ask, to be honest. Another young goalkeeper, and we're talking about all young goalkeepers here, really, who is enjoying his first experience in Serie A. He's had some great games, there's no doubt about it, but I feel he's someone who's good at dominating the box. But having said that, there have been moments where people have looked at him and said, well, if you look at the numbers, has he really made as many saves as you would expect him to make? He lets in a surprisingly high volume of the shots that he faces compared to his peers. For me, again, he's a developing goalkeeper. And to me, that doesn't scream United first choice. Now, of course, we know there's interest from elsewhere. Manchester City have been interested in him as well as that they look for the succession for Ederson. But I guess they're in a different position, City, because, they could roll with Ortega and gradually blood a younger goalkeeper, whereas United, it seems, are really looking for a first choice. So they're between a rock and a hard place, really, because obviously they want to develop someone who's going to retain value or give them like a decade's worth of service. But we can't know whether Suzuki, as I said, in individual games has looked excellent for Parma, but whether he can produce that over a season, whether he can provide the consistency that United need now, I'm quite doubtful to that.
Finally, it's Porto's number one, Diogo Costa. Out of the 5 options, the 25-year-old tops the list if United want an already proven winner. The shot-stopper has worked his way up the ranks with Porto, having been there since he was around 12 years of age. He made his first team debut at 20, by which point Costa had already received praise from none other than Iker Casillas, and going into the 2020-21 season was given the 99 shirt, an iconic number which was made famous by the club legend Vitor Baia. Fast forward, and Costa has already helped Porto win 2 league titles, 4 Taça de Portugal trophies and 1 Taça da Liga title, and has been named Primeira Liga Goalkeeper of the Year and is now the club's captain. The keeper was already linked to Manchester United back in the summer of 2023. However, Porto had a €75 million release clause they would not budge on. United needed a cheaper goalkeeper and ultimately signed Onana. If only they hadn't signed the likes of Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund for obscene amounts of money that summer, then perhaps the club wouldn't find themselves in this situation right now. One positive for United fans to hold on to is that despite being at Porto since he was a child, Costa does have admiration for the Red Devils, once saying, "For me, they are the biggest team in England, a special club and one I have admired since I was a kid." Not only is he proven domestically, fair enough in the Portuguese league, but he's also got experience with the Portuguese national team, hitting the headlines at last summer's European Championships in their round of 16 match against Slovenia, when he was awarded Player of the Match as he cleared a 1-1 chance from Benjamin Sesko in extra time before saving all 3 penalties in their penalty shootout, becoming the first ever goalkeeper in the Euros to do so. If they're serious about a new goalkeeper, he could be a great signing.
He's the most ready, Diogo Costa. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's got great experience. He's used to playing for a big club. He's used to playing for a big club where it's not going right all the time, because the last couple of years have been difficult for Porto as well. And of course, he's the regular first choice for Portugal. So all of those things recommend him. He makes saves that most goalkeepers can't make. I think that's fair to say. He's got real presence. Sometimes he's so confident he'll come and have a go at taking crosses that he's not going to take. He's a real presence in the goal. I think what separates him from the others as well is he's the best with his feet. So if you're going to play a high line, his ability to come and cut the ball out, or come and make clearances or take possession, I think he's better. But then again, I suppose, and there's always a but with United, I guess, you're again in the situation where, like Onana, you're paying a lot of money for a goalkeeper, and what happens if it doesn't work out? Because the situation they're in with Onana at the moment, say if they decide they're out on him and they're past him, whether that be Amorim or the next fella, how do you get your money back? At the moment, that's the question, isn't it? Because United overpaid for a player. Now they're going to struggle to get money back for him. But having said that, if they're going in for Costa, of course, he's been mentioned with fees of up to €80 million before. Look, Porto are getting nowhere near that for him, because they're in a situation at the moment where they are in serious financial trouble. There's a big question mark over whether they reach Champions League again next season. The strong possibilities are no. So they're going to have to sell some players in summer, and they've got less and less saleable assets. So they need to make something happen. And yeah, it would not surprise me to see him on the block. But I think as well, the thing that recommends Costa above anything else and anyone else. It's not his ability, it's not his experience. It's the fact that if it goes wrong, he'll be able to shrug it off and get on with it, which I think is absolutely vital, whatever happens with United next season.
Let us know in the comments your thoughts on Onana's future and who United should sign if they do part ways. Thanks for joining me, and make sure you subscribe for all the latest football news here on talkSPORT.